Now, there's two ways to look at this. One is how the simplest way you could look at it, which is I really liked what Caleb Foster did playing basketball this year. I think coming off the bench, he was microwave offense. Just put him in the game and it's ready. And when he was put into the starting lineup, he did a lot of really good things. At times, he was the most immediate offense they had when things were struggling. That's valuable. The more complicated way is in modern college basketball, every decision kind of reveals a little bit about the inner workings of a team. We now have Tyrese Proctor and Caleb Foster returning. Those are two former 5-stars, two could go anywhere in the country and make a whole bunch of NIL money. That they're two very highly thought of players. We asked the same question when Seth Trimble hit the transfer portal from UNC. Does that mean R.J. Davis was coming back? So is Caleb Foster staying? Does that mean Jeremy Roach is not coming back? And that's playing time that is now available for Foster to slide into. Or is he thinking, I'm going to replace Jared McCain? There's a couple different ways to move in this place. What I do know is this. Jeremy Roach, Tyrese Proctor, and Caleb Foster would be a very veteran backcourt. Would be experienced. They've all lived a life.
Oh, yeah.
They could all be. I talk about how Jeremy Roach this past year played the role of when things got chaotic to grab the basketball, put it under one arm like a football, take his other hand and put palm to the floor and go, calm down, everybody.
Yeah. Hey,
easy.
Deep breath.
When all the youngsters are running around trying to, like, they're down 6 and they're all trying to make 7-point shots, he grabs the ball and easy. One bucket. There's 9 minutes left in the first half. Let's chill. They could all do that. Roach obviously can. Proctor, going to be a junior. Caleb Foster, a sophomore next year, but has been through it. The injuries, the playing time, the coming off the bench. He's done a lot. He's seen a lot, and he's experienced a lot. Interestingly enough, if I'm Jon Scheyer, I'm putting as much recruiting effort into those 3 guys as anything else I have going on. Here's why. I went up in because the other thought is, wow, is Caleb Foster really going to come back to come off the bench? They have the number 1 recruiting class in the country, and there's 6 names on that recruiting class. And I guarantee you all those top 10 recruits in the country aren't expecting to show up and, be 8th guys off the bench. So I went and looked up the recruiting class, and more specifically, I looked up their positions according to 247 Sports, and 247 Sports is one of the authorities on high school basketball recruiting. These are the positions of the recruiting class. Small forward, center, small forward, center, small forward. There's a bit of redundancy in the recruiting class there, Coach. There are wings of varied skill sets. Mm-hmm. There's slashers, there's shooters, there's 3-and-D guys, there's a varied skill set within the position. But one thing there is not is any true ball handlers, true primary ball handlers. Cooper Flagg can bring the ball up, don't get me wrong. You can run your offense through him, as you can somebody like Darren Harris and maybe Isaiah Evans from up there in the Charlotte area. But they're not the guys who are setting up teammates as much as you'd think. Now, Caleb Foster is a scorer, but Roach and Proctor are very much setup guys, and Foster can kind of do some of that. He can break a press with the dribble. Without true primary ball handlers in the recruiting class, I think bringing all 3 of those guys back becomes a priority. Mm-hmm. We talk about re-recruiting, that you re-recruit them as if they are quintessential pieces of your recruiting class.
Well, on the Brotherhood podcast, which is like the Duke players run and have their own thing going, they being Proctor and Foster said they never even considered transferring. Like, never even crossed their mind. Like, Foster said 1,000% committed to Duke, which is great for if you're Jon Scheyer, that's a great thing to hear.
It's a wonderful thing to hear. What I will say is, on the Brotherhood podcast where I'm reaffirming I'm coming back to Duke, would not be the time where I went, I considered Arizona. Like,
very true.
That would not be where I decide to let him in on my inner workings. Where I'm like, I talked with my family and I wanted to move closer to home. Like, I wouldn't bring it up there. But it's great, right? There's the knock on Duke, and you hear this from other fan bases, is it's not a brotherhood, it's a semesterhood, right? You're only there, and then you either get run out by someone else taking your playing time, or you get run out because you're going pro. They're starting to have perimeter players, if it works out this way, with all three of them back, and we haven't heard from Roach, perimeter players that are very much hanging around. And it's, I don't know if it's as true, but it used to be a like foregone conclusion. It used to just be assumed that in March you needed veteran guards. You could have your one-and-done forwards or your one-and-done flamethrower shooting guard, but you needed, when the ball is in their hands a ton in March, you needed veterans there. We're talking, very experienced sophomores, but really juniors and seniors, right? Either high usage, because every once in a while you get a sophomore that feels like a senior, right? And it happens. There's
how much they play.
Wise beyond their years. They listen to, classic rock. But now, like, Proctor is a legit upperclassman. Feels like he just got there, but he's been in college for 2 years, which means next year will be his third. He's a junior, even though he got there early, reclassified. Jeremy Roach will be a 5-year guy if he sticks around. And Foster, as I said, he's a sophomore, but he's a sophomore that's seen some things, right? He was forced to grow up early. He was in a 6-man rotation and then dealt with an injury. That's a lot to deal with at a school like Duke. So even if these guys are just deciding which of the young bucks is going to get the ball a ton, them making that decision is better than whoever else might be in that mix. Caleb Foster staying at Duke, that's a big recruiting win for Jon Scheyer. Even though it's a re-recruitment, it's a big recruiting win for Jon Scheyer. One thing we do know about him, though, is he is a fantastic recruiter. So I'm not surprised that they're going to win the offseason. Will they get the most out of their lineup next year? I don't know. But the best lineup they can try to get the most out of includes those three guys.
And plus, as well, with all those young guys that you mentioned that are coming in, mostly wing players and forwards and all that kind of stuff, it helps for them that, hey, guess what? You don't have to be a primary ball guy. We got the experienced guys to do that. You play your role, and you can work you'll find your game as the season goes along. We got guys that know how to do this right now. Follow their lead. I think that's the biggest thing. It's something intangible that it takes some pressure off of Cooper Flagler and these other guys.
Because you look at like Isaiah Evans, who I brought up from Charlotte, or Darren Harris from Northern Virginia. These guys, and maybe not in the all-star circuit, all the EYBL and everything, but on at least their high school teams, they create for themselves. They create. Now it's like, where do you like the ball? Let Tyrese Proctor get you there, get you to where you like the ball, with space. Where do you like the ball? Caleb Foster is going to slash, and when everybody collapses on him, he's going to kick it to you on the wing of your preferred catching. It's like that's a different beast for a lot of these guys, unless it's like Nike Summit and those things. They've dealt with a little bit of it, but it's going to be a nice surprise for them.